The state of Indiana lynched my son July 24th of 2017. He was lynched in the city of Muncie, Delaware County. The facts of the case are as follows. He was 16 years old when he was tried and convicted and sentenced. He was still a child. They gave him a plea for 5 years for drug possession, which is a nonviolent offense. They denied me the ability to see my son while he was incarcerated. My son had to serve 5 years with no visitation, with limited outside contact. He was jailed in adult county jail before he was convicted and sentenced. That element, that part there, to me is what is so wrong about this whole situation. Because you take a child for drug possession and put them in an adult prison, adult jail, and house them there. Again, I was not allowed to visit my own son. There's no considerations for me being his father. No considerations for, not taking into consideration the fact that he had no visitation. He was getting very little money coming in. They're supposed to have caseworkers, supposed to have people there for that. And being that my son was a child, there should have been someone there to make provisions for his situation. It's always been my aim to affect change in the community. When I started my business, my odd urban agriculture and industry, my intent was to provoke, motivate, and propagate a different perspective and solution to the issues that plague our communities, to render relief and symptoms of a sick society. My experience as a single father has been challenging, and that's even before factoring in being a black man and a felon, and a non-existent family structure support system because I was adopted at a young age and reconnected with my family later on, which has not been for the best. As I said, it's a sick society and everybody has their issues. My family, biological family, all is not perfect, just the same as everyone else. But in totality, man, we are all sick. But these are the conditions. I don't take anything from single mothers. Raising a child on your own, period, is difficult. It's unnecessarily difficult inside of this construct. But it's undeniable that there are way more resources for women and children than there are for men in the same condition. Even with those same resources, when you go, being a man, your reception is totally different. The energy, the lack of empathy, the motivation. There's really it's a less than empathetic motivation and energy to assist you with whatever resources are available. Time after time, my felony record has been restricted and an impediment to a balanced life and well-being for my family. It's been an impediment to our growth and development and salubrious welfare. There is no justice, and being limited to provide for a family as a man should, when entities outside of that man can dictate how that man can provide and to what level or measure that man can provide, what our level of self-accomplishment and relative pride, self-identity, purpose, and function. This is a precursor to the depreciation of quality of life in our community, in our household, in that community. When powers to be outside of that man dictate what that man can and can't do to provide for his family, and he's not allowed to protect or provide to the extent that he needs to or should be, then that undermines any attempt of raising a healthy human being and a healthy family. And we are that community that is affected most. And this is not by coincidence or by accident. This is by design. I formed my OT9 to be an organization that will inspire and motivate the community to pool resources and to make tangible and visible changes in the law and policies that damage our families and communities. This organization is not about me. It's not about ego or trying to take credit for something. The purpose of this organization is to show an alternative or a more viable way of living. To promote real change in issues by addressing the issues at the root, and not to continue putting band-aids on bullet wounds. The construct is not viable for raising a healthy, wholesome people and families. This construct is not viable for that. It's not any way you can raise family or raise healthy people, or healthy people will develop in this construct. We have to do something to change it. My OT9 will help to rebuild our community and collective consciousness to counter the effects of this imbalanced way of living. Some of our focused objectives to be instrumental in this will be to provide family and community services, such as a family prison visit caravan. I was denied visiting my son for the entire 5 years he was there. I want to be able to offer that opportunity to families and to the people, the men that are in these prisons that need that inspiration, need that hope, who need that link, who need that love, that bond with their family while they're in them dark times. And because I was denied that, and I understand the importance of that because I've been there. I know what it's like to be in there, not to have anybody come see you, not to have any money. I know what that's like. To be in a hole most of the time because of a mindset, because I refuse to go, I refuse to be, So I spent a lot of time in SEG. My son spent majority of his time in SEG, and the psychological impact that has, one can't even understand it unless you experienced it and been through it before. We will see cases in Indiana where children are being charged as adults, and see to it that they have advocacy and that is free of conflict of interest or allegiance to the court or state or any agency that has financial incentives to carry out their agendas, like DCS. We will petition for laws to be changed that have been proven, shown to target, impact, and be more detrimental to our diaspora, specifically the ADOS, the American descendant of slavery. Special consideration need to be had for our youth sucked into the system. The phone system should be made to be more profitable and in gesture of rehabilitation and fairness to the family. Stop the exploitative racket of prison industrial complexes profiteering. Prisons should not be making profit from incarceration. Prisons are a big industry and a continuation of slavery and Jim Crow. We need justice reform. Until this day, we have never had justice. We've never really experienced justice. For us, it just is. We want to advocate for laws about criminal records, being my experience of how much a criminal record has stopped or denied my children from having a productive or gainful or traumatic-free life. If I wanted to get gainful employment or move to another or moved to an apartment, out of a house, out of the neighborhood or something. I was denied housing for my children. So my children, my kids were being punished for my sins. When we were at the time trying to go to a shelter, there's no shelters for us. When it comes to getting help, community help, from some of these non-for-profit and church organizations or whatever else, when it comes down to being a felon, everybody's hands off. Nobody wants to help you. And the reality is that there are a lot more single fathers in our community, especially as of lately, than is shown or reflected or even represented. And to be a single felon father, it's a whole different landscape. So I want to get with people who are genuine in trying to make some change and implement change, because these changes are fundamental changes that need to be had for us to progress in. Some of these laws, the systematic racism that goes on with these laws, target us, and we have to target those laws. But we have to have we need a community effort. And part of my drive, my initiative, is to get these churches to change their status from 501c3 to a 508c1a, where they're not compromising their First Amendment right and still retain their tax-exempt status, which is given to any church, all churches, by constitutional law. I will be expounding on that and giving more information on the 508c1a status more and more and more posts as they come, and as I continue to make regular posts. Please bear with me, y'all. This is hard for me to get on here and do these videos and talk to y'all. Show me support, y'all. We need to support. This organization needs this city, this community, our nation needs this. We got to do something about these laws, y'all. They targeting us. They're taking us out. They're even trying to go even younger with locking these kids up. Right now, they have, as the law stands, if a child is at the age of 14 and commits any felony act or any drug possession act, then they wave them over to adult court. And organizations like NAACP, a lot of these churches, I found out, they hands off. They're worried about their reputation. They don't want to get involved. So they'll sit back in the shadows and tell y'all go out there and pray, forgive your enemies and love them. Because they can't do anything. They can't have a voice. They can't take any of that money that they get from the people that they hustled us for hope. They can't give none of that to get to something tangible. So I'm coming out. I'm coming out to the community, and I'm not gonna be nice about it, y'all. It's hard for me to not display my anger, to show or to be expressively angry. Because everything I see is, all of this shit's relative. And nobody cares or nobody sees it until it hits home. It is nothing personal until it's personal. That's got to change, y'all. We have to get back to the spirit of Ubuntu. We have to get back to a collective consciousness. We have to restore the laws of Ma'at. We need justice, balance, reciprocity, harmony, righteousness. So if anybody out there is willing to help, to meet with me, so we can get something going. I'm trying to form an organization. I have my church, but I'm willing to work with any and everybody that is on this accord. I don't give a damn about your spiritual denomination or claim or religious, any of that shit. If we about black unity, if we about black liberation, if we about the ADOS movement and about progressing our people to be in a better place and to quit being oppressed and exploited in this system and being used, I'm not in this to try to make any money, which I see so many of these not-for-profits and people that's behind them, they're worried about a dollar. They trying to make money, and they do it for the status and prestige, and it sounds good, but it looks good, or